Welcome, Andrew Sachs. Now, first of all, could you tell us a bit about how you were chosen to play the part of Manuel and what your first impressions were of the part?
I'd been working with John Cleese in the early 70s on some training films for his company, Video Arts. So we got to know each other, he got to know my work, and we got on well together, worked well together, had similar sort of timing and no problems in the technical side. And during the making of one of those films, he brought up this pilot that he'd written for the BBC, and would I like to play the Spanish waiter? And my first impression was very nice, because I'd never been a regular contributor to a sitcom series. I thought, that's nice. I'd done guest things in Rising Damp and whatever. First regular part, I thought, wonderful. Then I thought, well, I'll ask him this. I love the idea, thank you, John, but could you make him a German waiter, because I'm not sure I can do a Spanish accent. And I come from Germany. German's my first language. So I thought that'd be easy. And he thought about this for a minute, bless him. And he must have thought, this guy's crazy. And he thought, no, I don't think so. Nice, but I don't think so. And of course it wouldn't have worked as a German, can you imagine? Telling the guests to do exactly as they're told, not quite right. So I buckled down to it, mugged up the accent on the way to the studio, as it were, and we got on with it. And
he was born, so to speak.
And he was born, yes.
And what were your first impressions of the part as you started to read for it?
And very nice to be. What a great script. Looks good, but the part is so small. It's only a small part. Nevertheless, I thought, here's a nice character part that I could tackle very easily. Good casting, I thought. And it's the sort of part that I've been playing for 20 years beforehand, sort of learnt my trade a bit. That's what I thought.
Were you worried about the violence at all?
No. No, I'd done a lot of physical work. I was with Brian Rix for a long time at the Whitehall Theatre, and I'd done a lot of farce and falling about and jumping around and being hit and hitting back and falling off buildings and things. So that was nothing. And I didn't know that he was going to poke me in the eye, did I, at the time?
So what were the significant differences between your conception of Manuel's character and John and Connie's, for example? Did you have much input in the development of Manuel?
I don't think... No, I just accepted what the script said, and my work, as I see it as an actor, is to try and be true to the author's intention. So I wasn't critical of how the part was written or anything. It just looked good. And I thought, yeah, how do I fit in this? How do I play my part in that recipe? So that was no problem.
Who came up with the moustache?
Oh, I did. I'll tell you why. I thought... I'd never been a regular on TV, and I thought, well, if I am, I know what it's like, that people recognize you in the street, and you get an image, and that's how you look. I thought, well, I'd always done disguise things, because I never liked to reveal myself at that time very much. And I thought, the ideal would be a moustache. I'll ask the producer if I can have a moustache. And I thought, he'll never let me, because John was wearing a moustache. They won't have two moustaches in the same show. So I asked, and he said, this is John Howard Davis. He said, yeah, all right. So I kept stum. I thought, yeah, well, fine, he said it, okay. And that's how it came about.
And did it work as a disguise from the general public?
Oh, yes. And the white jacket. I was very rarely recognized, even at the height of its popularity. I mean, I remember sitting in the tube one day, and there were two girls opposite me, one describing the previous night's episode to the other. And I mean, they looked straight at me, didn't know who the hell I was. So that's very nice.
Did you feel intimidated in any way playing alongside John and Connie? Not because they were co-stars, but because they were creators of this series?
No, not intimidated, awed, because I admire good writing, and this was good writing.
Did you do much research into the part of Manuel? I mean, was he based on anyone you knew?
I didn't go on a 3-year training course in catering, if that's what you're asking. No, the research I did on it was no more than an actor gives to many of his parts. I suppose you could say it's 20 years of research, of working the trade, of having a an aptitude for comedy. I seem to do more of that than the serious stuff, though not exclusively. So I have this kind of detached look about life. I tend to watch people rather than be them, and see the comic potential and the absurdity of the human condition anyway. So that was good preparation for playing the part.
What was the secret chemistry between Fawlty and Manuel?
Well, if you get a big man and a small man, and the big man hits the small man's going to get the sympathy. So I thought that's a good. The other thing is that although people often think of Manuel as somebody pathetic, oh, poor thing, and, you know, oh, dear, he's actually a very successful man. He's a happy, successful man because, A, he's found a family in Britain. He loves Britain. A surrogate family, because he's used to his mother, his father, his 5 brothers and 6 sisters in Barcelona, you see. So he's very much a family man. He loves, and he acknowledges that no matter what violence is meted out to him by anybody else, it means he's noticed, which in a big family in Barcelona, the only way you'll notice is to do something naughty and you get a slap around the ear from your mother, you see. It means, she cares for me. And in the same way, I think he's a child with his parents, with his family around him, intensely loyal, I should think, generous to a fault, would make a wonderful husband and father. And if he has any drawbacks, it's perhaps a lack of intelligence. But, you know, there are worse things than not being intelligent in life. So he's a very successful man. And it's that combination of joy in life that he has with being a bit downtrodden, apparently, is a good combination.
Yeah, he's kind of like full of joy, and Basil is full of, if I can put it like that.
Yeah.
And it's that conflict I sometimes... he's a bit like, reminded me a bit of a Labrador, Manuel, sometimes, in the way that he'd come back despite being maltreated.
Yeah, a pet dog, that's not a bad analogy, that's right. And you mentioned conflict. That's the heart of all drama, be it comedy or tragedy, isn't it? And there's plenty of that in the series.
Yeah. Did you get any feedback about your interpretation of the part from genuine waiters around the country?
I did quite a lot, but I couldn't understand it because their English was so bad, I think. No, not really. No.
How did the role of Manuel and the series Fawlty Towers affect your subsequent acting career, whether it be playing those comic roles or playing the more serious stuff that you've done subsequently?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. It's often puzzled me. I don't know, because unless I lived a second life without having experienced Fawlty Towers, I wouldn't have anything to compare with. I think it opened a lot of doors. But I dare say it shut some as well. And there were, shortly afterwards, after Fawlty Towers, there were lots of offers of something really imaginative, like, would you play an Italian hotel manager? I thought, that's one step up on a Spanish hotel waiter. And so there were efforts to have me virtually as Manuel, but not, there's not Manuel. We want you to wear a moustache and a white jacket. But it's not Manuel. No, nothing to do with it. Well, it is, you know. So I tried to fight shy of Spanish parts. Still do, although, yeah, still do. Because other people can tackle those without sort of kind of references of Manuel in the background. But on the whole, it's done me a lot of good, although I've never been able to capitalize on the success of it, because I played the leading parts in 3 other sitcoms subsequently, none of which made a second series even. Not just because I was in them, or maybe because I was in them, I don't know, but because the writing wasn't anywhere near as good. And how can you top something as good as Fawlty Towers? Very difficult.
Has it impinged on your personal life in any way?
Impinged? Well, very nicely, really. Very happy to have had that success. And I never take umbrage at people talking to me about it. It's a bit boring when you hear the same question, like, what's it like working with John Cleese, you know? What's he really like, you know? And you answer that question as though it's the first time you've heard it. So there's a bit of the actor comes into you. But, you know, that it's well-meaning, so it's a small price to pay.
Yeah. I mean, as you say, it's opened many doors, and maybe shut some. But of the doors that opened, the ones that were open for you, which one were you most happy about, and which one were you least happy?
Which one was that most happy? Well, things came out of it, perhaps because I was working at the BBC in the television ambience that, and I was in this series that producers and so on were more interested in me than had I not been in the show.
Now, your character was the butt of much physical violence from Basil. Did you mind putting yourself through all that physical danger for the sake of sitcom?
It's not really dangerous. No. If you rehearse a thing properly, and we did, and he's a master of timing, and I can react very well to it. I'm fairly agile. So it looks violent, but it isn't. On the whole. No, it isn't really.
Did you have any on-set accidents, though, as a result of bad timing?
Yeah, there were some in the sequence where there's a fire in the kitchen, which is beautifully handled with all these firemen with hoses of anti-fire foam on them and covered in anti-fire gel and things. But the scene immediately following that, which we recorded separately, was me coming out of the kitchen with my jacket smoking, collapsing at his feet and saying, "Oh, please help, 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 fire." And that was made with the reaction of two chemicals. It went wrong. And instead of just smoking, which it did, it also soaked through the jacket during dress rehearsal in the afternoon, I remember. And it got hotter and hotter. I had to stop. I said, "Well, something's wrong." Took the jacket off, and my skin was kind of plum-coloured. However, not much pain. Had it dressed and did the show in the evening. Now, that got a bit painful. So if you ever see the show again, just have a little tear of sorrow there for me there. And at the same night, this is where it really hurt, is because at the same time I was playing the lead in No Sex, Please, We're British at the Strand Theatre in London every night, 1975. We recorded on a Sunday. And that was a very physical show. And for the next 3 weeks, I had to have my arms and things dressed every day. But to have, as part of the business in the show, to have these encyclopedias thrown at me like this as a gag, into there, no, such pain. That's not nice. But, you survive, it's all right. And as for the violence that John is supposed to have handed down to me, he never did, he told me to say. With hindsight, things, you romanticize things. But I remember really enjoying it and having such a good time with John as a superb head of the team, and John Howard Davis and Bob Spears later. The contributions were encouraged from everybody, even the smallest bit part. The people who came in just for 1 week were made welcome. I know what it's like coming as a new boy into an established series. You feel, I'd rather go home now. But no, John particularly would get everybody in. You're here for just 1 week, 2 lines, doesn't matter. You're part of the team. So that was enormously helpful for everybody. Did wonders for the atmosphere. And my memories of it are totally great. A good ingredients for a good recipe and a good dish that's offered.
Talking of guest stars, who were your favourites of the people that came in?
Oh, quite a number. Joan Sanderson comes to mind, Mrs. Richards, the deaf lady.
Okay.
What?
Okay.
Kay?
See.
See? Casey? Casey, what are you trying to say?
No. K what?
Kay what?
See. K what?
CK what?
Yes.
Who is CK what?
Okay.
Isn't the manager, Mr. What?
Oh, manager.
He is.
Ah, Mr. Fawlty.
What?
Fawlty.
What are you talking about, you silly little man?
Wonderful actress, wonderful. Formidable, but wonderful. So I knew her. Geoffrey Palmer, one of my very favourite scene, I think, is when he's discovered this dead body upstairs, and he's seen to that, and he comes down to have breakfast, and it's too late.
No, I take it.
Leave it.
No, it's not time, please. No, please.
I'm sitting here.
It's no lunch till 12.
I'm still having breakfast.
It's finished. All gone, breakfast kaput.
I'm having sausages.
He's not allowed.
And then my very favourite line of the whole series is when he, in that straight face he's got, that hangdog look, he says,
Look, I'm a doctor. I'm a doctor and I want my sausages.
I tell you, he's finished. Bye-bye, please. Bye-bye.
Now look,
It's finished.
give those to me. Come on.
No, it's not possible. Is everything all right?
that's one of my very favourite bits. Oh, I'll tell you another bit. Mrs. Richards, we nearly cut this in rehearsal, I remember. It was my one contribution, as far as I remember it. I'll tell you what it was. John shouts into a deaf aide, and she goes like that and knocks her head, you see. And he says, and he goes to the floor, he says, is this part of your brain? You see? And one day, we were doing this at rehearsal, and suddenly that line wasn't there. And I said to him afterwards, what did you cut that for? And he said, well, we decided it wasn't very good. I said, you can't do that, that's brilliant, do it, put it back. So for once, he actually listened to one of my suggestions.
Wait. I haven't got it turned up enough.
Basil,
I said go!
My head!
Has it come away?
did you bang your head?
Yes.
Oh, dear, let me have a look.
You better go and lie down before something else happens.
Why don't you call the police?
We will the moment we've searched the room.
My money's been taken.
Yes, I know. Try not to speak.
Is this a piece of your brain?
It's my contribution to the writing of Fawlty Towers.
What about Bernard Cribbins?
Oh, he's amazing. I'd worked with him before, and I've known him for many years. In fact, subsequently, I did pantomime with him at Portsmouth. I played Dame, I think. I can't remember. He's a man. I admire him because he seems to be fazed by nothing. If the set fell down around him, this is the impression I get, that it wouldn't worry him. He'd just cope and do it. And it's always nice if you have an actor with a sense of humour playing a character who hasn't got one. That's a great combination. And he played that superbly.
Please, senor, Mr. Fawlty wants to say adios.
He wants to... No! Oh! Sorry.
What about Brian Hall as Terry?
It was lovely. He only came in the second series because it was felt that, or John and Connie felt that this is a hotel that's only run by three people, you see. So we must get some more staff. We don't have a cook. So we had him, and Brian's lovely. That's just how he is. It struck me. Happy, cockney, great sort, you know. And he was lovely, and of course he had a tragic end. He died very early, and that was really sad, because we all liked him, and I think he liked us.
What's all this about rat poison on the veal?
He's put rat poison on one. They got mixed up. Nobody knows which is which now. Well, what happened to the one the cat had?
The cat?
That's no good. That might have poison on it, too.
Well, where is it?
What?
Where's the cat slice?
Up there.
Right, now, how's the cat?
How's the cat? We're about to take the life of a public health inspector, and you want to know how's the cat? It's gone to London to see the Queen. What are we going to do?
He's all right.
Great.
Hooray! Hooray! The cat lives! The cat lives! Long live the cat! What are we going to do?
Mr. Fawlty, if the cat is all right, that means that slice is all right.
Well, how long would it take to work?
That stuff, 2 minutes. He had this 10 minutes ago at least.
It's a bit chewed there.
I'll give it a trim.
My favourite episode would be, it has to be the one with a rat. Sorry, hamster, not a rat. Filigree Siberian hamster. Because I had the biggest part that I'd had in any of the other episodes. It was quite a big role. And we had an extra luxury. It was the last show we did of the whole series, the whole 2 series. And there was some kind of strike or something, and we were ready to go into studio to record it with an audience, and we had to cancel it and remount it some weeks later. So we got extra rehearsal, a few days extra rehearsal to remind ourselves what we were doing, and we got an extra half day of recording time in the studio. Total luxury. Because normally, you see, you do the whole episode in one day, turn up in the morning, do all the camera rehearsals, dress rehearsals, this, that, notes, all that. And by the time you get to the show and the audience is wheeled in, you kind of, you know, a bit gaga. Wrong time to do a recording. So we had that luxury. But you see, even I'm a bit stupid sometimes, because I remember John had to point something out to me that is so obvious. In that when this hamster gets lost, runs away, and I go into the garden shed or something, and I call him, call his name, which is Basil. And I remember during rehearsals, I just said, Basil, Basil, you see. And John took me to one side. He said, you know, it's very good, but just remember that Basil is also the part I play, so that you have named your hamster after me. So give it a bit more, let them know this. So it's simple, obvious. So in fact, we did it, Basil!
Basil!
How do you say that the show fits in with sitcom history? I mean, was it one of those sitcoms that pushed the boundaries, or was it more in the traditional mould of the sitcom?
It's certainly in the traditional mould of comedy. It goes right back to French Fast, doesn't it? In that it's very tightly plotted, very complex stories. I mean, you really have to pay attention to know what's going to happen, in the same way that you do with a Fado farce or something. So there's that long tradition behind it. What made it, in a sense, broke the bounds of, what did you say?
Pushed the boundaries.
Pushed the boundaries of comedy, is that, like very few other programs at that time, there was much more movement, action, comedy that depended less on words and more on behavior and so on, body language. I mean, there were others, like some others do have them, for instance, which was all kind of movement. So it certainly had that quality, and there were many more shots. It moved along much faster than other, even great sitcoms that tended to be based and centered on dialogue, people talking to each other, having a cup of tea and getting up from a sofa, which is now exemplified by the royal family, which does nothing, which with the biggest action is somebody getting up to make a cup of tea, but brilliantly done. So we certainly had that, which was less usual at the time.
What appears to be a very simple plot is actually densely complicated when you start to follow it. That's what I always felt about watching Fawlty Towers, was you'd start off quite relaxed, but halfway through you'd be like, ugh, like that,
yes.
You know, because already so many things could go wrong and would go wrong.
In that episode with the dead body, played in a lively way by Derek Royal, we wanted a small man, because we had to carry him up and down stairs and things all week of rehearsals, and I said to John, it's all right for you, but, you know, I'm only a little guy. Let's get somebody small. I got the very man, Derek Royal, got him. And he was an acrobat. So if we did drop him on the stairs, it didn't matter, he could just get up.
Okay.
Did you get to keep the white jacket?
Yes, yes. I got to keep the white jacket. I have it hanging in my wardrobe.
Well, Andrew Sachs, thank you very much.
Pleasure.